What's goody, everybody? It's your girl Nat Clark. We're back with another episode of the Nat Clark Show, and I have a special guest with me today. He is a track star. He is a jumper on the field. He is a 5-year track runner at the Division 1 level. He attended St. Joseph's with a bachelor's degree in sports marketing. And while after he attended St. Joseph's, he went to Virginia Commonwealth Universities where he got a master's in sport leadership. Not only did he get his master's in sport leadership, but he also was a grad intern at Regent Tourism. And just to give you a little logistics of his track career, he finished first place at the Christopher Newport Invitational, notching a 6.78 meter in long jump. His career best was 60 meter for the 60-meter dash. He ran a 7.20. For the 100-meter dash, he ran 11.21, and for the 200-meter dash, he ran a 22.48. And he is currently tied for fourth on the SJU all-time top 10 performers list in the outdoor long jump, and that is Mr. Donald Adams. Donald, how you doing, my guy?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, hanging in there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But all is good. But yeah, Donald, just talk to us, talk to the crowd about your track career. You
Yeah.
growing up running track. How did that come about? In your early years.
Yeah. So actually, I started sports kind of in soccer, and even in soccer, I was playing like midfield, striker. So I was always kind of fast, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do when it came to maybe potentially playing sport or in college. And so I played like multiple sports. I played football, basketball, and so I would say up until literally like when I started track in eighth grade, which I guess would be right before high school. Then I started to kind of see, okay, I like this sport, but I still wasn't like in love with it, I would say. And then I guess around, I would say, um, sophomore year, I actually quit basketball so I could play, so I could do indoor track. And that's really when I got into track more. I started doing AAU track outside of school, and kind of found a deeper love for it where I was like, okay, yeah, I could actually do this like in college. So that's kind of how I got into track and how it became the sport I kind of wanted to pursue for, in college.
Yeah, that's a great story. I'm glad to hear that. So basically, like you were. Sounds to me like you were always fast. Like you were probably one of
Yeah,
the fastest guys growing up. I'm assuming.
I would say, yeah, like that's kind of what I was known for when I was playing the other sports. I would say like soccer, football, basketball. You don't need speed as much, but even still, just athleticism. I was always known as, like I said, like you said earlier, I'm a jumper. So in basketball, I was known getting the rebounds, even though I was like
Just
a
leaping.
guard. Yeah, I was still getting the bounds, even though I was like short or whatever. So I was still up there. So that's kind of what I was known for just in the other sports. So then obviously naturally when it came to track, everybody's fast or that's everybody's thing in track. So um it was just about like I said, separating myself in that sport, and I like that there was other fast people that I could really really compete with, because when it comes to like soccer or football or whatnot, not everybody skill is, everybody has their different skills. I was always known as a fast guy, but in track everybody's fast, so it's fun to be like, oh, I'm the fastest of the fast. So that's what I like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad. I like track too. I like going
Hmm.
to the events. I only ran 1 year
Okay.
track. That was like my freshman year. But I've always liked the events, and I
Yeah.
think track meets are like the funnest time. Like you can like run early in the
Oh
morning
yeah.
and then snack a little bit, chill with like
Yeah.
your teammates, and then you can turn around and run again. Like I love track meets, and I love like the energy that it brings
Yeah.
to each team and to each event. So yeah, track is
Exactly.
always something that I look
Mm.
forward to watching, especially when it comes to the Olympics.
No,
Like
for real.
that's like the best time to like watch any meet, I think, during the Olympics, the Olympic time like last year. But yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. So I
Yeah.
know I've talked to like a few other athletes,
Hmm.
and they play on teams. Like they like
Yeah.
I talked to a softball player, I
Hmm.
talked to former basketball players,
Yep.
football, things of that nature, and they played on team sports. But with track, it's just you and the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
or you and the distance or
Yeah.
how far you're jumping. So
Mhm.
what can you say about as far as like team culture when it comes to track?
Yeah, I feel like um, team sports, like I said, I played a decent amount of those, but track is so unique where it's just like you and the clock, or like you said, you and the distance. So it's sometimes hard to always have that team camaraderie when it's just like an individual, and you're a lot of times you're going against your teammates. To be honest with you,
Mm,
whether
yeah.
it's in a championship meet or final or something, you're going against your teammates for first place. But I think especially when it comes to those meets that team titles still matter for a lot of coaches and a lot of runners and jumpers of track. I mean, they still matter just as much because one thing I'll say is you put that work in with your teammates all year. So even though
Mm,
you might be competing against them later on, y'all have been going up the hills, running those sprints, doing broad jump tests, all of that stuff you've done together the whole off season or preseason, and so that just builds that camaraderie. And so when you get to the meet, it's almost like even if that person beats me, it's like okay, well they succeeded, and I know why because I watched them, um, work as hard as they could every day in practice, and then it switches off sometimes when you succeed and maybe your teammate didn't do as well. Then it's like, oh, okay, well, still we're celebrating that because I know I worked super hard. So I think that it's a unique thing with having that, and I think some people might not see it as the same, because you're obviously not passing to your teammate or throwing the
yeah.
ball to him. So it's not like, you can really, there's not really a way for you to do that. The only thing you can kind of do in track is obviously the baton, when you're doing the four
Yeah.
by
The
one
stick and you
or
run and
four
you
by
keep
four.
going.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
the closest you get to kind of like a team sport where it's like literally everyone has to go around. So that's also like a part of it. So that's fun as well. But I would say definitely in terms of just the individual. It's just knowing like, okay, like I know even this year I had three of my teammates. We all did jumps and we all did long jump, and so I know every time one of them went up to long jump on the runway, we would start clapping, let's go, like getting the energy up for our individual teammates. So everybody
That's
knew
nice.
when VCU jumpers were going on the track or on the runway because we had that camaraderie there. So it might not necessarily be us, like you said, passing the ball, handing off the ball, you know,
Mm-hmm.
alley oop, whatever you want to say. But we still got that energy every time our teammate was coming. So it's definitely different, but it's definitely still fun because I mean you can even have your own competitions between each other, like, and it's
Right.
all love, trying to get better. So it's definitely different, but I would say there's still great sense of team camaraderie when it comes to track.
That's awesome. I love to
Mm-hmm.
hear that, like y'all
Yep.
cheering each other on, especially when it comes to like meets and being on that runway. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
amazing. And I'm glad you pointed that out, like as far as like y'all train together, even
Mm-hmm.
though sometimes y'all compete against one another, but y'all are always like training, like y'all
Yeah.
always like uplifting one another and y'all are always going against the opponent, which is the other team or the
Yeah.
time. So I
Exactly.
didn't even like think about it like that. Like you said, you train together, y'all do the same conditioning drills, the same lifts, same
Yeah.
workouts, and things of that
Exactly.
nature. And just to come together when it comes to those big events, like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I got your back, you got mine, but at the same time, we're
Exactly. Exactly.
working towards a goal, and that's like a championship or a medal or a ring or whatever
Exactly.
you want to call it for sure. Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. So I want to ask you, you went to St. Joseph's, that's in
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia.
Yep.
How was the transition from you being at St. Joseph's to Virginia Commonwealth University?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question because it was different in terms of culture. I would say for sure. VCU is located in Richmond, Virginia, which is my home. So that was
Mm-hmm.
another thing that was a little different for me was just going back home. But I would say at St. Joe's, a lot of the track team is kind of distance based. So that would be like anything from a 800 and
800 to like
up.
the mile,
Yeah,
1600.
mile, cross country, all that. So like you got a lot of guys that are heavy into that, and they had a really good group. Um, and I would say at St. Joe's we had less pure sprinters and jumpers. It was like I would say
Interesting.
we were even tighter of a group, like in terms of just knowing each other because we just like didn't have that. there were so many more guys who did the distance. So I would say that kind of was the big change because at VCU, they actually are mostly sprints and
They
jumpers.
are, yeah.
Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
different for me because I'm like, oh shoot, I'm used to having all these distance guys and whatnot. Like we were all super cool with all the distance guys too at St. Joe's, but it was just like I wasn't used to having so
So many of
few of
y'all.
them, yeah, like around. So it was different because like my core group of people I was around, teammates I was around during the year was jumps and sprints. So it was a good
Mhm.
change for me because obviously that's what I do. So it was a good change to kind of have that. And then the head coach, Coach Riley, um, he previously was a jumper in his day. So he knew kind of that versus my head coach at St. Joe's was a former distance runner. So you can
Okay.
kind of see how their mindsets would change and like just seeing the small details of the difference between how a distance coach kind of operates their team versus a sprints jumps coach operates theirs. I think that was the biggest adjustment for me because I was there for 4 years, and you know when you're a
Mhm.
college student, especially like a freshman, you don't really know anything else until you leave.
Yeah.
Like you don't know
Yeah.
any other coaching, you don't know necessarily what any other athletic departments do. Just like
Mhm.
small things like that you wouldn't even think about. Like um, you're not even thinking about it really until you leave. So I think just adjusting to all those smaller details of um, even the lifts, I would say like
Yeah. Like, how
uh,
was that?
yeah,
Like, cause you're training to jump and sprint and go
yeah,
in bursts while they're
hmm
training for like longevity
yeah,
endurance. So how was the list like structured for you being at
yeah.
St. Joe's?
So I would say at St. Joe's, like so we still had a split. So it was jumps and sprints together with lift, and then like I think the mid distance and with lift, and then the I don't know if the mid distance lifted with the long distance people, but either way, I know jumps and sprints. So we still did that the same way at VCU. But yeah, I would say like in terms of lifting in general for both of the schools, like you said, it's just like very powerful. I maxed out like um, squatting and hang cleans and all those types of Olympic lifts. Those are very important for power athletes, like you know, in track or whatever sport. Any power athlete, I would even say, you know, football needs it too. So just a lot of Olympic lifts and also like not necessarily in the weight room, but just plyometrics in general, getting that explosive, you know,
Yeah.
bursts, things of that sort are definitely important. Sleds, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm
That's that's interesting. Wow, like just going from like having across a long distance type
Yeah,
mindset
mindset.
coach to a
Yeah,
sprint coach. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely
That's
different.
and I bet that kind of took some like I know like you making that decision to go to VCU, going back home, kind of alleviate some of that pressure when it came to like, all right, I have a coach, but he knows what he's not only does he knows what he's talking about, but he's also familiar with what I'm running and when I'm jumping, for
Yeah,
sure.
I think so. St. Joe's and VCU are in the same conference.
Nice.
So I would go against VCU. I've gone against VCU. Well, I went against VCU athletes, you know, for 4 years, and
Mm.
I noticed kind of what I was talking about, like the emphasis on the sprints and the jumps, the emphasis on, um, you know, just um, certain events. And I think when I was deciding on, you know, what I was going to do next, I definitely was thinking like, okay, well, you know, I've known from just not anyone necessarily telling me, but I've known from just literally looking at myself that they always seem to be really composed. They always seem to have like organization and just a decent amount of people doing jumps and sprints and things of that sort, and that definitely attracted me to the school. And that was before I even knew like Coach Riley was a former jumper
Yeah.
himself. So when I figured that out, I was like, oh, okay, that makes total sense now. Like
Yeah.
I knew it before, but I didn't have like a reasoning for it. So then when I figured that out, I was like, okay, that makes total sense. Like he was a former jumper, like I totally know, and he always told us like I'm always harder on our jumpers. This is gonna be the hardest working group because he
That's
did it.
good though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so
Yeah.
that's what you want out of a coach. So we had some meetings during the year where he was like, this, if we're going to score play or place high in the conference, this is the group that's going to take us there. So I like that, having a coach, like I said, that had a little bit different mentality, but definitely just seeing them beforehand, I knew that it was going to be a good fit for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds like a nice smooth transition.
Yeah.
No, like not much complications behind that,
No.
especially when it comes to coaching style. That's
Exactly.
awesome. And
Exactly.
I also I know like your time at St. Joe's, you did intern for the athletic department. So
Hmm.
what was your position and what were the tasks like?
Yeah. So I actually, like, that was my sophomore year. I was kind of just, like I said, I knew I was interested in sports, but I had no clue what I wanted to do in
What
sports.
it
And
is.
so, I think you said earlier, I majored in sports marketing at St. Joe's. So I was just kind of like interested in figuring out what I was gonna even like do in that realm. I knew I wanted to be in sports and marketing, but like there's still, even though that
Other
seems
stuff.
specific, it's still like broad. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
I actually saw kind of like just a general posting about a creative intern they had. So I kind of just got in with the athletic department, and I asked them like, what does that entail? And I had some previous photography background from high school at that point, so they were like, "Hey, that's just basically, we want you to take photos at the basketball game, and we want you to help you, or you want you to help us kind of manage those files, and then see if we can get some of this stuff out to our media and things of that sort." So I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, like I said, at that point, I didn't know how I did it, and I was getting passes to games and things of that sort. So I'm like, I'm all
Yeah.
game for trying something new, but also getting some experience. So that was definitely good, and it worked out. I did that for most of the basketball season until I started my own season. So that was kind of what that was, and I think that was my first experience within an athletic department, but also just like more major sports um, organization, just doing anything. So I think it was definitely
Hmm.
valuable, and I'm definitely glad I took the step to just figure. Even though I'm not planning right now to be like a photographer or anything, I'm glad I took the step to just do
Yeah.
anything, and get my feet in the water a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And even just like gaining that experience, like I know that's something that like jobs and like future jobs, future positions are looking
Yeah,
for, like just wanting that, like for their candidates to have that experience, to have those few tips and those notions and things like that that can help them with their business and things of that
exactly.
nature. Um, was marketing something that has like piqued your interest since then? Because you wanted to work in sports. Like I know we
Yeah.
talked about it in the past, like us wanting
Mm.
to work in sports, but like what is that position? What does that look like for us? So has marketing like had you starting out your internship your sophomore year to the time that you graduated, excuse me, was marketing something that really like spiked that interest for you long term?
Yeah, I think I always tell people this, but one of the reasons I chose St. Joseph's, other than the track, was they had a sports major, but in the business school, and I always knew I was like business minded, kind of leaning more towards business minded, and so that kind of went with the marketing of things. And so I think with that first internship, I kind of progressed, and I actually did something in journalism. Like, I was writing sports stories for a newspaper in my hometown, and then I moved even towards, like, I became like a brand ambassador my senior year for a sports marketing agency.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of I was also working for a sports apparel company at the same time. So that was also that. So I think I just kind of developed it, trying different things, and I think that's kind of what got me to say, yeah, I think I do like the sports marketing. I think I do like I said, there's so many different aspects of it, but I do like um, even just social media part of it, social media, and just even marketing a product or a player,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, uniforms or whatever. Like, I really, apparel, like I really enjoyed doing that. So I think I did
Yeah,
find the love for it, and just doing all of those different experiences throughout my college career.
that's awesome. That's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Seems like you have like a nice passion for it, like long
Mm-hmm.
term for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So you already talked about your passion for business and marketing,
Mhm.
but I also want to ask you, like, I know when we talked about like business, like a lot of people, like for instance, like I know A Rod,
Mhm.
Aaron Rodriguez, like sorry, excuse me, Alex Rodriguez, the
Yeah.
baseball player. Yeah, Aaron, he's yeah, but Alex Rodriguez, you know what I'm talking about, the baseball
You know
player
you talking
Alex
about. Yeah, you know
Rodriguez.
you talking about.
Yeah, the baseball player.
One of the greatest
You
of
know
all
he's
time. Yep.
yeah, he's part owner of the Mavericks, Dallas
Yep.
Mavericks, and he
Mhm.
always talks about how athletes can make the best
Oh yeah.
business people, like when it
Mhm.
comes to like promoting a brand,
For sure.
entrepreneurship, marketing, business, etc., etc. So I want to ask you, like, I understand like we are former college athletes and
Mhm.
we had NIL during our tenure and playing our sport. So I want to ask you, like, do you think athletes are a great candidate when it comes to being marketable, innovative, and business people?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, definitely, definitely. I think if you just look at, I mean, when you think of, like, if you think of the top athletes in the world right now, they could probably sell you a shoestring. If they say
Mhm.
I'm coming up with the Steph Curry shoestring nines, someone's gonna buy it
Somebody
because
gonna buy it. I
yeah,
know I am.
yeah, that's what I mean. Somebody's
Yeah.
gonna buy it just because they're so marketable. Their face, the way they play, um, likeness essentially. Their player
Yeah.
likeness is just so strong that there's really not many other. I guess you could say like movie stars or something like that. But there's not many other professions where the player has so much power and influence over the people who watch them or who delve deep into their games. And so I think in that aspect, people in sports have the most. I feel like they need to be like, in marketing and marketing themselves. Like if you're not, I feel like you're missing an opportunity because there's somebody
Mhm.
out there who has been watching you or who has been following your game, regardless of how big or small you are. And obviously, the bigger you are, the more people. But there's someone out there following your matches or your
Mhm.
track meets or your whatever sport you play. There's someone out there following you, and I think not to use your power to market that to people is kind of missing out on opportunity. So I think people in sports in general just have that mind, and I think they have the likeness to really understand how it would be how it's successful to
Yeah.
implement that into like the business world in general. I think it, like I said, it would be a lost opportunity not to do that
Yeah.
for
I totally agree. I like athletes, like they have like the world's famous people, some like most are considered like athletes, like
yeah,
because they have like a certain like
yeah,
aura. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
if
exactly.
if LeBron James was walking down the street
Yes,
in Virginia Beach,
yes.
I would be stargazed. You know
Right
what I'm
now,
saying?
and you would go and you would start. What would you do? First thing you do is probably take a picture or a
I
video of
would take
that.
a picture, but I would
Yeah,
run to him and be like, yo, it's LeBron James. Like, it
yeah,
is LeBron James. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? And he is somebody that's so marketable. Steph Curry,
Hmm.
you got Tiger Woods for golf. You got you got freaking Michael Vick. He's the
Yeah,
head
yeah,
football
yeah.
coach down here for
Yep,
Norfolk State.
Norfolk State. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, but these are athletes that are just so marketable, and I agree. Like, and I understand like when it comes to like business people, like business and marketing. Like, I feel like when athletes touch a certain product,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So like Caitlin Clark, she got
Yep.
Gatorade.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, Caitlin
Exactly.
Clark, she got Gatorade. LeBron, he got what does he have? What does he not have?
He
He
got.
got the Lobos, the
I was
liquor.
about to say Lobos.
Lobos, like
Yeah.
with Rich Paul and them,
Hmm.
like they had when they touch a product, the value goes up. It
Exactly.
skyrockets. Not only are they performing on their court or their field or whatever, but the value of the product goes up as well. So
Exactly.
I agree. And then when you talk about like the business side of things, it's like, all right, how can I market it? How can I make it accessible to everybody? You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Not just for a certain group of people, not just for athletes, but for like everyday people not working 9 to 5 jobs, things in that nature.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
And
yeah.
I feel
So go
like
ahead.
people said this a lot when I was in school, but sports is the ultimate connector. Meaning,
Mm,
it doesn't matter if you are from North Dakota and you there's like 200 people in your town versus someone living in New York City in a high rise. Y'all might still both like the New York Giants for some reason.
for
There,
some reason,
I don't
yeah.
know why, but there's some reason that y'all both like that. And if y'all ever met dude from the country of North Dakota or guy from a high rise in New York City, y'all will have a deep conversation, and
Mm,
the players are right in between that. So that connection is just not only just the sports entities, but the players and everyone who goes into sports. So I think it's like you said, like these businesses are seeing that, and that's why they're always
they're
trying to get
grabbing them.
yeah younger
Yeah.
and younger now. What I mean, like high schoolers getting NIL deals, I think.
I Yeah, there's this
Yeah.
one girl. There's this one girl. She is a beast on the court. They call her Special K, but she is the
Okay.
youngest. She is the youngest signed Adidas athlete, and she's only
Yeah.
like 15.
Oh
She's
yeah.
only like 14, 15.
Oh yeah. I definitely
So the
believe.
fact,
Yeah.
yeah, and she's nice. Like she
Mhm.
can hoop. Like she's tough. But the fact that they're grabbing somebody like as young as her to
Exactly.
market their brand, other kids her age or even younger, or like whenever she gets older, they're gonna want to jump onto the Adidas brand, shoe line, clothing, things of that nature. So yeah, I agree. Sports is definitely the connector when
Oh
it
yeah.
not only just for like engagement and like connections, but not networking. That's the word I'm looking for. Not only for
Hmm.
just networking, but definitely for business and marketing for
For sure.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad we touched on that topic because
Yeah.
that's
For real.
yeah,
Good one. That's a good
yeah.
one. I like talking about this stuff for sure. It's definitely like I said, one of my passion things that I enjoy. Just from seeing it, but also living it a little bit, but also just
Hmm.
having classes about it. So definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we're gonna take a little shift. I
All
know
right.
your time at VCU. You did an internship with the Richmond Region Tourism.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me what that is and what was your position like?
So I'm actually still with Richmond Region currently.
Okay.
So but that was the so everybody in my program, CSL, shout out CSL, Center for Sports Leadership. Everybody basically has a grad assistantship that they do. Some people work at the VCU, in the VCU athletic department. Some people worked as high school assistant athletic directors. Um, I chose the Richmond Region Tourism. I didn't really know much about what that was, but essentially, Richmond Region Tourism tries to market Richmond, Virginia, the capital of Richmond, trying to bring in events, and so specifically on our end, sports events,
Okay.
and then we help service those events. So you can think of like it's literally every sport. We just had a Puma basketball event here
Ooh.
with, I mean, great talent. I went there. It was a great
Y'all get
event.
Lamelo?
Huh?
Y'all get Lamelo?
Nah, he didn't come down here.
Ah,
he,
I
didn't
had
come,
to ask.
he didn't
I
come
had
down.
to ask.
But there was a lot of good talent down here in Richmond. And then, like, it could be just like we have tennis events or smaller things of that
Mm,
sort that come in. So it's just about bringing in events, servicing those events, getting more people into the Richmond region, exploring the great city it is. And so, kind of what my part was, they kind of told me straight out, which I told you my passion with sports marketing. They said, hey, we're looking for
mhm.
someone to boost our social media. We're looking for someone to help us with marketing what we do here. We don't really have a huge presence right now, and said, okay,
Yeah.
perfect. I'm the guy,
It's
and
your
that's
job to elevate. To
exactly. And
elevate.
so
Yeah.
that's kind of what I took on the charge, and I think um, just on the Instagram side, I think we started with like less than 300 followers. Now we have almost 700. And I think
Okay.
that's just kind of like that elevation, but almost marketing, like I said, the city, marketing the
Mhm.
events we're doing, marketing the work we're doing. And I think, like I said, sports tourism, which I didn't know either, is like $1 billion business. Sports
Wow.
tourism goes all the way up to, I think LA. is 2028 Olympics, but they had to bid for that event.
Wow.
So think about how much money goes into bidding for these large events. They've got to have the infrastructure and things of that sort. So sports
Yeah.
tourism, especially now, especially in like cities like Richmond with the youth, is so important. It boosters not only obviously just the sports scene, but it boosted the
Mhm.
overall economy. So I think it's a great business to be in, and I've really enjoyed my time there, trying to just help and do my part.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like
Mhm.
something I would want to go to. Like especially like sport related events, like just when it
Yeah,
comes to like marketing and
yeah,
elevating. Yeah, that sounds like fun. That sounds like
it's
something I
fun.
want to go
It
to.
definitely is.
You're gonna have to tell me like the next like big events because I'm not far. I'm like literally 90-minute drive from like Richmond. So
Trust me, I will. Just let me know. We got a whole calendar
oh man, yeah, take a little weekend trip to
for
Richmond for
sure.
sure. Yeah, but that's amazing. You're doing what you like, what you love, and that's
Mhm.
marketing, and you're help elevating something that was somewhat small to be something that's bigger and better and greater than what it is
For
right
sure.
now,
Hmm.
for sure. Especially like in the sports realm, like you said, like sports is just a connector, and you're outlining it to people and letting them know, like, hey, we have this event going on, come out, show out, things of that nature. So that's
Yep.
amazing. But yeah, I've never heard of Richmond Region Tourism. So I was curious just to ask, like, what is that,
Yeah.
and yeah, and what your position and what
Hmm.
daily tasks and things of that nature look like for you. And you've been here for how long?
So I started basically last almost. It's almost been literally exactly a year because I started a little like I think I started 2 weeks after we started school, and I know VCU just went back yesterday. So it's almost a year at this point. So I'd say maybe 11-ish months.
Yeah.
So I've been there for about 11 months now.
Is this something that you could like look at like doing like just for a little bit longer than
Yeah.
expected?
I think definitely like I said, I didn't like literally going in, I swear, like I didn't even know what like you said you didn't know what Richmond Region Tourism was, and I found out like most entities like you're in Virginia Beach, there's a Virginia Beach um tourism agency that does sports stuff, and they try to bring in, I know y'all have the new, because I mean VCU Atlantic 10 Championships was in Virginia Beach at that indoor sports
Yeah.
facility. They
Yeah, we
had
got the sportsplex. So we got they
sportsplex.
just made the dome.
Okay, what is that?
It's
Is
like a
that
that's like it's like a big Lord, I just saw it. It's like a big building for like concerts and stuff.
oh,
I
okay?
know Clips in them are like I don't know if they already perform, but they're supposed to perform in the dome when they come
Oh, okay,
here.
okay, okay.
Yeah. But we had the
Exactly.
dome and then of course the sportsplex, which is where the
Hmm.
big track is and then the basketball courts and stuff like that are.
Yeah. So somebody in y'all's basically Virginia Beach Authority had to bid for the A10. So that's kind of what I didn't know about. I didn't know that. I mean, I just had no clue. So I think now that I actually know it's a business,
Mhm.
and not a bad business to be in, I definitely am interested in doing it and potentially pursuing it longer term because I mean, when you get into something like that's exactly what I was saying earlier about how I didn't really know the breadth of everything you could do in sports. And I think, especially on the business side, it's like a lot of it intertwines with just regular business in general. So when you add in sports facilities or sports teams events, it's like okay, now I get it. It's just so wide and deep in terms of what you can do that I just didn't even know was possible. So I think I
Yeah.
definitely enjoyed even just learning about what the business is about, but what I can do within it. So I'm definitely
Yeah.
interested in pursuing it longer term and seeing where this goes for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that sounds like something like you said, like they have it like I'm assuming in like most big like states and cities and things of that
Yeah,
nature. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, like the LA, whoever works in LA, like they're bigger, obviously, like Richmond, but like those major cities, like New York,
Mhm.
LA, whatever, Atlanta, I know they hosted the 1998 Olympics or whatever, but like
Mhm.
those bigger cities have these massive, coalitions of people there that have to do the same thing we do, bid for these large events. And so that is just kind of what every city, and people don't even know that, know what's really going on, but it's kind of like behind the scenes. But
Yeah, that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Like it's so undercover. Like
Hmm.
and Richmond's a nice area. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? So I think that's bringing a lot of like, cause there's a lot of people in Richmond anyway, cause it's a city.
yeah,
But I think it's bringing a lot of people like just from like outside, just to be like, hey, we got
exactly.
this going on, like in our area. Just come out, and see it and things of that nature. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's all the main goal: getting more people into the city. Just so when if you think about it, like if you bring a whole team, I know you probably tried for basketball at one point, but I mean, if you bring a whole team in, they're gonna get hungry, or they might get bored, or they might
Mhm.
this or that. So just giving them the tools too to explore what else is here. So that's kind of what the business is all about. Also, not only just bringing in events, but letting them explore and seeing what else is here and what's great about the city.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, I agree. Yeah, that's amazing. That's
Hmm.
awesome. So So yeah, we touched on business, we touched on marketing, we touched on what you do and how that's transpiring to be bigger, better, greater
Yep.
than what it is now. Um During your time at VCU, you did play a role in just being a sport leader on the track and off the track. But tell me about like your tell me what was your goal going into VCU? I know you wanted to get your masters and I know you wanted to perform at a high level on the track, but what was the end goal for you while you were there?
I think uh, that this whole year was just about learning. I didn't necessarily have like a like a one big super big goal overhead, but I knew that I was going to have to learn the whole process. That was in school, at my GA, and during track, like I said, with the adjustments. So one of my biggest goals was to just operate in the manner that I didn't know anything. Um,
Mm,
Even if that meant, sometimes being like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing, but just hearing someone out. And then obviously another one I had was just networking. Um, Regardless if
yeah.
it was networking like at my job or networking with my classmates, even it was just even my teammates on the track and field. I just wanted to broaden my network and understand, and like I said, that kind of went with the learning because as you broaden your network, you'll learn more because you'll learn from people you never knew you could interact with. So I think
Yeah.
those were two of my biggest goals from the past year was just to learn and grow my network and kind of intertwine those two, and be the best athlete, coworker, and student slash classmate I could be while doing accomplishing those two things.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. I'm glad you mentioned network because it's like we kind of got a taste of that
Yeah, yeah,
before
yeah.
going into before
Mm.
going into your final year. Actually, your final year because I already graduated. Your final year, I be forgetting
Wait a
I'm like a
second.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, before your final year of grad
Mm.
school, I had already graduated. That's why I say that.
Mm.
But yeah, with the conference and everything, and I think just for me being at the NCAA conference back in 2024,
Yep.
meeting Lexi, meeting Kendall, meeting
Mm.
Ahmad, meeting all those people, like it helped me open my eyes to like, hey, like you could really make solid connections with
Oh
people
yeah,
that can last short term or long term. And I think that was something that like kind of stuck with me, like
for
going
sure.
into the next year. You know what I'm saying? For
Exactly.
sure.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I think with that we had a so there was like online students, but in the actual cohort that I was with like every day, I think there was like 40 something of us, and I think um like I said, just connecting with my classmates with those 40, even not even outside of the classroom, was just great because, like you said, like just building those connections, and then now seeing kind of where everybody's landing is like, okay, now I know somebody at Maryland. Now I know
Yeah.
somebody here. Now I know somebody here, and it's like cool because you're like not even just on some like, oh, I could. reach out to them if I ever want a job. But like, no, I could reach out to them if I'm just coming up there to see a game.
Come up there, yeah. If you're in the
Yeah,
area,
so
yeah.
exactly. So it's just fun, kind of now after the program, to just see how everybody's doing, but also being like, okay, I'm glad I built those connections, and um, even I have a teammate who just transferred to NC State. Shout
Mm.
out David. But like just knowing like uh, there's different connections I made this year that I people are all over the place now. So it's like great to have that and be like, okay, I don't really feel like I won't be a stranger wherever I go or wherever
Yeah.
sports takes me.
Yeah. Like you said earlier, sports is just a connector. And
Exactly,
like
exactly,
yeah, and it allowed you to cast that line out to people that you didn't know before, but that now that you now know, to have that connection, to have that networking skills. And like I said, it could last for a long time, it could last for a lifetime for sure.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree. All right, Donald, we're almost out of time,
All
but I'm
right,
just gonna end with a closing question for you.
all
I
right,
ask this with
gotcha, gotcha.
all my guests, but what is something that you're excited for when it comes to the near future?
I kind of played on this earlier, but I'm excited to kind of just expand my knowledge within what I'm doing now, but also learning about other things I can do and expanding my knowledge in that as well. For me not to know that there was sports tourism really as a business tells me that I don't really know that there's this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this out there for me. So I'm just excited to explore those different avenues and go down that rabbit hole that I don't even know is there. I'm excited to kind of like I said, explore those options and use those connectors and use those people that I know to get to where I want to be and look back on another year because I know last year I didn't know where I was going to be here. So look back on another year from now and be like, oh wow, I learned something new. I'm in a new business, or I might still be in the same business, but I've learned this totally new thing. So I'm really
Yeah,
just excited to kind of, like I said, learn another whole different business or learn about a whole different aspect of sports that I just didn't even know was there. So that's kind of what I'm excited for the next year. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
that's amazing, Donald. Thank you so much, Donald, for your
Thank
time.
you.
You know, it's always a pleasure. It's
Always
been a
love.
while, but
For
yeah,
sure.
it's all love. Thank you so much for hopping on the
Of
podcast.
course.
You guys tune in. This will be available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We'll be releasing this episode sometime this next week, but you can listen, you can watch. Donald, best of luck to you. Thank you again for your
Best of
time. I
luck to
can't wait to
you,
see
man.
what you do and hear from you in the near future.
Of course.
But we always stay connected. Guys,
Always.
thank you again. God bless, stay safe, and peace out.
See you now.